All right. Whoa. Oh, okay. Oh, wonderful. Welcome everyone. Today is Monday, July 27th, 2026. It's currently 7:03 p.m. and I'm calling this regular meeting of the City of Philomath City Council to order. On tonight's, we're okay? Okay. On tonight's agenda, we will have a roll call followed by public comment. I think everyone in the room heard this, but I'm just going to say it one more time. If you're here for public comment, we just ask that you fill out one of these forms. They're on the little table where it says, please sign in here, just so I know who to call up for public comment. And then we just have a record of who spoke. If you can fill that out and just hand it to Crystal over here where it says turn your speaker form in. I want to make sure everyone who's here to speak has a chance to. After public comment, we will move on to ordinances and resolutions. We have 4 items for this evening. First, we have Resolution 26-22, National Farmers Market Week proclamation, followed by Ordinance 895, the police services fee, which will be the second reading for that ordinance. After that, we'll have Resolution 26-23 to set the police services fee at $5. After that, we will have Resolution 26-24, you're maybe noticing a trend, to ratify a collective bargaining agreement between the City of Philomath and the Philomath Police Personnel Association. That's all of our real business for the evening. So after that, we will just have our reports from boards, commissions, committees, council liaisons, and staff. I think maybe, Chelsea, would you like to call the roll?
I would love to do that. Okay. We have Councilor Irwin.
Here.
Councilor Crocker.
Here.
Councilor Caseman.
Here.
Mayor McMorrin.
Present.
And online we have Councilor Nielsen.
Here.
Councilor Salsa.
Present.
And Councilor Andrade.
Present.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Okay, first up, we have public comment. The first one I have is from Jody Russell, and I'll just read my little public comment statement, but we can have you come up to the table here. Speakers, we ask that speakers are limited to about 3 minutes, and a 30-second warning will be provided. I know that's always a little nerve-wracking. Speakers are asked to provide their name and city of residence. And those who attend public meetings are required to adhere to the council's rules of proceedings and observe the same standards of decorum as members of the council. Further, at the discretion of the presiding officer, members of the public who fail to observe these rules of procedure will be asked to discontinue speaking, will not be allowed to speak again for the remainder of the meeting. Jody.
Hello. Okay, so my name is Jody Russell. I serve as the president of Philomath Community Services, and I'm here on behalf of Philomath Community Services to talk to you about the concerns we have for the safety and well-being of our community members due to the watershed treatment plant construction going on right now on 9th Street, which is right next to Philomath Community Services. First, I want to say that we understand infrastructure projects are necessary. We appreciate the work being done to improve our community. The purpose tonight is not to oppose the watershed project. My purpose is to ask that the safety of our community members be given the same level of consideration as the construction itself. Philomath Community Services is the only community-based social service organization in our town. Every day we serve families with the young children, seniors, veterans, individuals with disabilities, and people experiencing food insecurities and mental health challenges. Many of the people who come through our doors are already facing difficult circumstances, and our goal has always been to provide a place where they feel safe, welcome, and treated with dignity. The need for our services has never been greater as it is today. In June alone, we reported 327 visits to Nancy's Food Pantry and 91 visits to June's Food Closet. So we're talking over 400 people in and out of our building and the vehicles that they drive to get there. The highest monthly numbers in our history were June, and it continues to grow. More families than ever are relying on us for food, clothing, and support. This is not the time to make access to our services more difficult or less safe. Unfortunately, the construction next to our building has dramatically changed how people access our facility. We have lost approximately 40 to 50 parking spaces. Traffic now has to travel directly in front of our building because barriers have been removed, creating what was essentially become a drive-through in front of our entrance. Vehicles entering and leaving must navigate a very narrow access point where drivers cannot easily see oncoming traffic.
30 second.
Okay, creating the potential for head-on collisions. If it wasn't for Girding Construction, their property that they have up for sale, letting us have access through their driveway, we would have no access to PCS at this time. We're already paying over $300 for temporary safety measures, and we just respectfully ask the council to help ensure that safety improvements, clear communication, and practical solutions become an immediate priority for the remainder of this project. Thank you for your time, your service to our community, and your consideration.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have Mike Goodrich, who I believe is speaking on the same topic.
Oh, I am.
Oh,
Can't take it over. Hopefully this.
no, we're glad to have you here.
So, Mayor McMorrin, members of the council, my name is Mike Goodrich. I've lived in Philomath for about 23 years. I'm here tonight as Vice President and Facilities Chair for Philomath Community Services to share some concerns regarding access and safety at the PCS building during the current water plant construction. Be clear, I'm not opposed to the construction. I understand and support the effort to provide sufficient safe drinking water for our community. I also understand that construction is often messy and inconvenient. In my 40 years as a builder and developer, I've frequently worked with neighbors and regulators to find practical solutions that preserve access, maintain safety, and mitigate nuisances. Unfortunately, that's not currently occurring with this project. As I know you're already aware, PCS is the primary provider of food and other essential services to many of our community's most vulnerable. We work very hard to provide a safe and welcoming environment for those we serve. To that end, PCS has invested a significant amount of time and effort to understand the city's plan for safe and reliable access to our facility during construction so that we can provide clear direction to our clients and volunteers. Since April, when the land use application was made available, we've expressed concern about access and requested additional information. In May, we were invited to attend a pre-construction meeting. We're given plans overviewing the site and assurances of support and communication through the construction process. No traffic and signage plans were provided, so we requested and were offered a site meeting to discuss access in more detail. That site meeting has not yet occurred. We were asked if we had finalized a temporary access agreement with the neighboring property owner. We've done that, but it is through a neighboring private property that's currently on the market. We're interested to know if the project team has an alternative plan for access to our facility should that property sell and a new owner choose not to extend the courtesy. In mid-July, construction began in earnest, including heavy vehicles through our parking lot and complete closure of our existing 9th Street access and accompanying parking. We were not provided advance notice and had not been given the traffic plan. After reaching out again, we have been provided with the narrative of the construction area, a couple of different maps showing areas, traffic areas and signage. Unfortunately, those conflict, are not entirely accurate, and therefore we're still lacking the information we need to make our plan. We modified existing signage on site, installed some temporary visual aids, and have offered additional markers and lighting to help guide our clients. We need to do more, and to do so, we need more accurate information about project plans. We urgently request a site meeting to finalize an accurate access and signage plan that addresses not only fire, life, and safety, but also the ability of our clients to receive essential services. We remain very concerned that if current conditions persist, someone could be seriously injured. I thank you for your time and your service.
Can I just ask a quick?
Sure.
You said you'd spent about $300 on signage. Is that, or was that? Did you say that? I don't
Yeah,
know.
number.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was about, okay. Thank you. Thank you both very much. I'll just say, I know we're not discussing right now, but Sharon invited me to come visit PCS tomorrow evening during their food bank distribution. So I'll be doing that to kind of see what that looks like on the ground. I'm assuming others would be welcome, but I can double check if you want to join. So
The opening times, is it 4 or 4:30? Did it open?
I don't remember. You would probably know that better. She invited me to come by at 5:30. That's all I know. So, all right. Next up, we have Adam Hoyt. Adam. You can tell me no, you know. Thank you very much for being here, and same deal for you.
Here, so I'm sweating, probably am.
Me too.
So I'm here to speak on the police department fee for the water bill.
And can I just have you say your name and your city of residence too?
That's Hoyt, living Flom. So, yeah, I'll make this pretty short. So we obviously want police department to have the funding that they need. But we feel like there's a different avenue that could be approached before we could, any fee gets tacked onto our water bill. I feel like we pay a pretty high water bill as it is. But I know a lot of funding could come from, there is a lot of speeding cars going through town, and you hardly ever see a former cop have anybody pulled over. And I feel like they could have a significant revenue increase by patrolling the streets like they're supposed to be doing, or I feel like they're supposed to be doing. If they could set up, on Main Street or Applegate, both going in and out of town, there's everybody that drives these streets every day knows that people do 35, 40 miles an hour through town. And I feel like that could be a good way to get some revenue coming in to make their budget deficit that they have. That's all I got to say.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Next up, I have Kara Hoyt. Wonderful. Then I have Andy Bumstead, repeat customer. We're glad to have you back.
Thanks for having me back. Andrew Bumstead, resident of Philomath. I think I said most of what I wanted to say last time I was here. I just wanted to reiterate that I do appreciate the job that you guys do, and that it is difficult. I recognize that it's difficult to balance a budget, and I think I just wanted to respond to a couple of things specifically that Chris had said. He's not here, but a couple of things that he had said. One was that he was very proud of the fact that when discussing the option of making a levy instead of a fee, he was very proud of the fact that he hadn't asked the voters for money in quite a long time. I forget the number of years. And I think that's admirable. I don't follow the logic that says we're really proud of not asking people for money, so we're just going to take the money. So I think that would be my response there. I think it's better to ask the voters. And then also he had mentioned comparing this fee to the city of Corvallis's fee, which is, I think he said $65 or 60 some dollars. And just reiterating my concern that this fee, its tendency is going to be to grow, and that once it's in the code, then the temptation is going to be to continue to raise that fee whenever there's a need for revenue. And I don't know what the story is with Corvallis, but I would guess that it didn't start at $65. And so $5 seems pretty tame, but like this guy said, we already pay a lot for water. I know we pay over $200 a month for our water bill right now. So that's $5 is just a little bit more, but that's a little bit on a lot already. So my concern is that it's an uncapped fee and with no timetable. So Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Sorry, let me just read a note. Next up, I have Norma Bumstead.
Hi, I'm Norma Bumstead, a resident of Philomath, and this is my second city council meeting ever. And I'm here to talk about the water fee. And I'm opposed to it. So I gathered some of my friends here today who may or may not speak, but I also sent some messages out, and I want to read a response to my plea with them. Come, let the city council know how we feel. That's, it says, text at the time the vote is actually happening, and I'll run down and cast my vote. So that's someone who comes from like my place in life. I don't understand a lot of local government, and I said, that's the problem, you don't get a vote. My other one is, and that these are both residents of Philomath. She says, what? I thought I already voted no on that. I said, nope, we didn't get a chance to vote. She must have thought of something else, but both, I just wanted to point out that both people who wanted to be here thought either they could vote or already had a chance to vote. So I'm just here representing some of my friends. We've all got young kids. We can't all be here, and just reconsider. Thanks.
Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Next up, I have Robert Bisco.
Hello, Robert Bisco from Philomath. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, council members. Appreciate your time here today. First of all, I want to thank the Philomath Police Department because they do an awesome job, and I believe that they want to do their best to fulfill their role as a police department. But number one, I'm against this fee 100%. I think that it should go out to the voters, and number two, most importantly, Philomath is a population of a little over 5,000, not 50,000. So to think that we need to have a fee to try to help compete with the city of Corvallis or Benton County, we shouldn't have to be able to compete. We shouldn't expect to compete with 5,000 population that of the taxpayer base compared to 50,000 or you look at the county levels, I think somewhere in 90,000 anyway. I employ that you guys do not pass the second reading. And then also I would encourage that it would go out to the vote for the people, because then you're actually getting the citizens' opinion or their voice in there. The other, I guess a question or just something I would consider. So understanding that the police department, the Philomath Police Department has a challenge with trying to compete with other things. Have they considered and put in their contract when they're bringing on and doing all the training of someone new, considering the time that new person being trained would need to stay with Philomath for a longer period of time? I don't know, I know it takes a lot of time, a lot of money to get them trained. I don't know if it's a 2-year period or whatever, but maybe in the contract, if they put in there, they would require that officer to be able to stay with Philomath for an extra year or an extra 2 years, longer than what the current contract is, to be able to retain that, so you're not to dispense that funds of what it costs for training over a longer period of time. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. Next up, I have Michelle Reeves.
Hello, Michelle Reeves, Philomath. Thank you for taking the time to listen to everyone. Again, I wanted to reiterate too what was just said. We thank the police department so much for their service, just making us safe. Police around the state and around the country are putting up with a lot of junk right now. And anyone that's using this as an opportunity to complain about the police department, that's wrong. That is flat out wrong. And I'm going to say that clearly because they do a wonderful job. They put up with things that we don't know. And I believe they should be paid a fair wage and even more, as much as we can give them, because they're putting up with a lot of junk and they're putting their lives on the line daily and nightly, that we can be safe and that my kids can be safe. So I support them 100%. I want them paid what they need and a competitive wage if possible. So that is definitely needed. That being said, I believe this issue should be put to the voters as well. Again, difficult to balance that, but I believe instead of a flat fee like this that can be changed from year to year, we might have that goal to keep it competitive, but again, it can be raised just at will. We don't know who the counselors are going to be down the road. And I think things like this should be put to either a bond or a levy that the people can vote on. Again, I just thank you all so much for your time, and I thank the police department for their wonderful service. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for being here. Next up, we have Catherine Biscoe.
Catherine Biscoe. I am a resident that lives in Philomath, and thanks to the City Council and the Mayor for this opportunity for public comment. I've lived in Philomath for 23 years. I served on the City Council in 2020 and 2022, or through 2020 to 2022, and the Budget Committee from 2018 to 2022. So I'm familiar with this process that you've been engaging with. What I've also seen is a number of years where we have chronically been called underfunded, or emergency needs for funding, or additional service equipment or additional positions. We've seen a continuing rising cost of utility fees, system development charges, and how that's impacted the community. Benton County currently is the 4th highest taxed county in the state. Philomath actually within Benton County has some of the highest taxing districts within Benton County. So we are already paying a pretty significant tax burden to the city. I will say that this process really raises the specter of that trust of the public, of our city government, and their ability to do the job. The fact that we've relied on our general fund reserves and these continually increasing fees to quote unquote balance our budget, and now we're in this same emergency again. I sat in one of the budget committee meetings, and every testimony that night was also concerned and or opposed to this increase, even at $14, but we're still asking an additional $5. When the public has to be engaged to this level, as we heard from some of the individuals here, don't know the process. Thank you to Ms. Bumstead, who provided that commentary and some of the other comments as well. How do people be engaged? They thought they'd already expressed their concerns, but I think you're hearing and seeing them in the public as well. We should in Philomath as a community of 5,800. I'll comment to Mr. Biscoe's comments about, I actually had to look it up today to be sure, but Corvallis is paying different police department salaries, but they're a community of actually just about 61,000. Benton County is a community and a county of about 98,000. That's a very big different tax base than what Philomath has, and we shouldn't be comparing ourselves to Corvallis, but more to the comparables of other cities that are the same size as Philomath. I am concerned and will continue to be concerned even after being on the budget of the chronic use of this general fund balances and these continuing increase in fees that makes it less affordable for all of us here in Philomath. That $60 may seem small when you're looking at it from a budget standpoint, but I would ask that we look more closely at where we are expending and how we can do more with less. Thank you. That $60 translates into less things for kids at school, less opportunities for families to recreate in our community and other needs. I would ask you to consider either a public vote or to go back and reconsider this ordinance that you are proposing and look at comparables of other cities and how we can better fund the services for our community, for our our police department, and how we do that within the confines of what our taxpayers can afford. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for being here. Lastly, but certainly not least, we have, is it Corey Love? Am I saying that right? Or Lowe? Love. Wonderful. Corey Love, thank you so much.
Corey Love, I live here in town. I think I'm only going to echo what most people have said already, but I will add something hot off the presses is a friend who couldn't be here, who is a resident of Philomath. And she says, oh, McMinnville has that fee. It's $70. It started in 2022 at $13. So you can see the concern we have. It looks to me like 2 weeks ago, there was a meeting here. Andy and Norma showed up, and had they not showed up, this might have just gone through. Is that a possibility? It wouldn't have?
I mean,
That's not how it works. Or
I'll respond when you're.
in any event, obviously a vote would let people really know where they stand and know what they're voting for. Again, and I'll echo what they said. I thank you guys for your work, and I'm glad the police are here, and I'm glad we have a safe community. But let's do this the right way. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Corey. I know we're not supposed to really, discuss, but I do just want to say for the record, because this is relevant to why we're here tonight, the city charter says that if there's an ordinance, it has to have 2 readings unless it gets a unanimous vote on the first reading. But if even one counselor votes no on the first reading, it has to go to a second reading, which is the default. So, and
I was basing my comment on the fact that it sounded like somebody in the council said, oh, wow, maybe I'm against this. So that's the,
sure.
Thank you.
And then I do just want to say, I've heard the idea of could increased revenue from traffic enforcement help offset some of the budget worries. I know one of the things we can do here is refer something to a committee. Is that something we could refer to the police committee to investigate and maybe report back to the council on?
I believe that, I don't know if it was when you were on, but it, within the last few years, has already gone to the committee, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, could we just maybe?
So we could look back at
Sure.
that and see what that discussion was.
Yeah, if we could just get whatever the report out from that was again, that would be cool.
I just would respond to that because I am on the police committee
Yes.
still. And people on Facebook, social media, I know it's not very good, but they were saying nobody stops anytime there's speeders going through and there are no stops happening. And my comment was, just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's happening. I took that to the police committee at that time, and that month there were 118 stops for traffic. I had not seen 118 stops. I might have seen one. And again, I think right now our crime rate's at the lowest it's been in our city, and they're doing a fine job. The stops, I know, I see speeders all the time, but the fact that they did 118 that month was impressive to me.
Thank you.
Can I ask, out of those 118, how many citations?
And I think that's what we'll ask to get a report back from the committee for. I think rather than do some guesswork, I want to make sure we get real numbers. So thank you. Okay, any public comment online or anyone else?
No.
Okay, wonderful. With that, we will move on to resolution 26-22, National Farmers Market Week proclamation, which we, as a reminder, we're going to vote on our last meeting, but since we're here now, we can do it now. I guess any discussion, or is there a motion on this? Councilor Stevens?
Not a recommended motion, but
Yeah.
I'll move to approve resolution 26-22 as submitted.
Wonderful.
Does that work?
That's perfect.
Yes, sir.
And then I saw another, is that a second, Councilor Andrade? Okay, so it's been moved by Councilor Caseman, seconded by Councilor Andrade to approve resolution 26-22 as presented. Is there any discussion on that motion? Yes, please.
I just wanted to say that last year, when we were learning our new website, there was a request to the council to have this put in an agenda last year, but there was a glitch with the website. It didn't notify us. We found it in December, so we did let the people who had submitted it. It was Janelle LaJoy had submitted that request. Last year, we asked the mayor at that time if we could go ahead and try to get it in for this year. So I just wanted to note that they did try to get it in last year as well, but technology sometimes fails us. We've got it all fixed now.
And I'm assuming the dates are for this year, though.
Yes,
Okay, good.
correct.
Any other discussion on that motion?
I just am impressed with how the farmer's market has grown every year. When it first started, it was a little sparse, and now there's no room. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So they're doing.
Any other discussion? Okay, we'll vote and then we'll read the proclamation after. So all those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the resolution 26-22 is approved unanimously, and I'll just go ahead and take the privilege of reading it since I've spent a lot of time with the farmers market. Proclaiming resolution 26-22, proclaiming National Farmers Market Week, August 2nd through 8th, 2026. Whereas farmers markets play a vital role in providing access to fresh, locally grown produce and other agricultural products, supporting the health and well-being of our communities, and whereas farmers markets offer a vibrant and inclusive space where individuals can be engaged with local food producers, artisans, and others, and whereas the Philomath Farmers Market champions food access for all through vital programs ensuring that fresh and nutritious food is available to households of all income levels, and whereas farmers markets contribute significantly to local economies by creating more, new, and better market opportunities that allow farmers to sell their products directly to consumers, thereby retaining a greater share of the food dollar within the community. And whereas National Farmers Market Week honors the important role farmers markets play in supporting healthy communities, resilient food systems, and strong local economies. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Philomath hereby proclaims the week of August 2nd through 8th, 2026 as National Farmers Market Week and calls upon the Philomath community to celebrate and visit local farmers markets. Wonderful. And I hope to see you all at the farmers market. Well, that was the fun part of the evening. Now we get to Ordinance 895, an ordinance adopting Philomath Municipal Code, Chapter 3.26, regarding a police services fee and establishing an effective date. I know we already discussed this at the previous meeting, and we've discussed this concept quite a bit in the recent months. And as I mentioned earlier, this is coming back since it did not have a unanimous vote at the last meeting, but nothing has changed in the ordinance from the last meeting. So I don't know, Chelsea, if there's anything from the staff side you'd like to add before we.
No, I think you've covered it. You know that you've already discussed it pretty extensively.
Wonderful. In that case, I'll entertain any discussion or motion. Councilor Caseman.
I do have a comment, nothing that I prepared ahead of time, so maybe
Sure.
I'm also not much of a public speaker, I'm more of a writer, so I kind of feel that, so in case I stumble a bit too. As a fellow citizen of Philomath, I take what you said very seriously. And I'm also gonna, if this passes, I'll also be paying the fee along with you, that type of thing. So I thank you for coming out and sharing your thoughts. I take that very seriously, once again, as a fellow citizen of Philomath. I think what I do want to say is that I think between the budget meetings and the various city council meetings, this very thing was probably discussed a dozen hours. I didn't time it or more. So when we do make our votes, there's probably, maybe it'll come off this way, but I don't want it to seem as if we vote in the opposite way that you would like us to, that it's not that I didn't take what you said very seriously, but we did spend dozens of hours kind of laboring over this and suffering through it to some extent and that type of thing. So hopefully that comes across what I'm trying to say. I don't know if it's the most eloquent thing. I just don't want to give the impression that I don't take it seriously. I do. We did discuss many, many options. We spent dozens of hours talking about it. And so very soon we're going to take a vote, but I guess I just wanted to put that context.
Thank you. Absolutely. Any other discussion or is there a motion? Councilor Andrade?
Yeah, I Let's see, I'm referring to the email I sent to the council and staff earlier today for the motion I'd like to make. I moved to edit page 2, lines 14 through 16 of Ordinance 895 so that it reads, services that safeguard, facilitate, and encourage the health, safety, and welfare of the community members and businesses of the city. Continuous and consistent police services can provide a multitude of economic. And clearly there's stuff that comes before and after that, but that was just my way of trying to further clarify some things. And I can talk to that more if I get a second.
Sure, I'll
I
second
second
that.
it.
Oh, we'll take Rich's.
Thank
That's
you.
more fun. Okay, it's been moved by Councilor Andrade, seconded by Councilor Salsa to
Cool.
amend on the second page of the ordinance, which is the fourth page of the packet, lines 14 through 16, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. So that it reads, quote, services that safeguard, facilitate, and encourage the health, safety, and welfare of the community members and businesses of the city, period. Continuous and consistent police services can provide a multitude of economic, and then continues along with what is already written there.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Since it's been moved and seconded, would you like to provide any more comments on that?
Just my main rationale is that it links the premise that the positive outcomes listed in lines 14 and 15 are due to the police services that we receive already, because it just it says like the purpose, let's see, it's the revenues generated are intended to continue to maintain essential police services. And then the purpose of this ordinance, and it just kind of feels like they're stated as two separate things rather than linked together. Sorry, are you able to hear me very well, or?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, cool. And then for the other part, I got rid of the city council also finds that, because it's just like these benefits are a possibility, when done correctly, when policed in a particular way. But I just felt like it was a bit more accurate, I guess, more precise. That's the word I was thinking of.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion on that motion? Seeing none, would all those in favor please raise your hand and say aye? Aye.
Aye.
Is that okay? I think, was that 5?
I did not say.
Raise your hand if you're voting.
I did
All
not
those
vote
opposed, raise your hand and say nay.
Nay.
Okay. And Rich, I didn't catch, which one are you?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, good. Okay, so I think we're 6 ayes, or 1 nay, or sorry, I hate having people online and in person. Teresa, how did you vote?
Yes.
I have
Aye? Oh, no. Oh, gosh. Wait, Teresa, you're muted.
I was writing that down and I didn't get the whole thing as she read it. Is there a way I can hear it one more time?
Okay, we're gonna scratch that vote. Let me restate the motion again.
Possible to read that
Yes,
section?
I will read the section 3.26.020A in its entirety with the proposed amendment. So it's been moved by Councilor Andrade, seconded by Councilor Caseman, Councilor Salsa, to read that this chapter establishes a police services fee surcharge. The revenues generated by this fee are intended to allow the city of Philomath to continue to maintain essential police services that safeguard, facilitate, and encourage the health, safety, and welfare of the community members and businesses of the city, period. Continuous and consistent police services can provide a multitude of economic and social benefits to the public, including, but not limited to, protection of persons and property, reduction of the incidence of crime, dependable response to police calls and other public safety situations, promotion of community spirit and quality of life. So that would be the section 3.26.020A in its entirety. Yes, Councilor Kinsman.
And that actually helped a lot. Maybe the only reason I voted no, kind of last minute changes.
Sure.
I'm a cautious
Fair
person
enough,
by
yeah.
nature,
Yeah.
and so I just wasn't quite there. Having read it, I'm gonna vote.
Okay, so it's a good note for next time. I'll be sure to read the whole thing. Okay, any other questions or discussion?
Sure. I'll try to keep it brief.
Okay,
Police services are essential services, and it states that in this. I understand the desire to vote for it, but I've also sat here while somebody testified, it was about annexations, saying that they didn't need police services because they've never had to call the police. And I think that's a little bit short-sighted to say you don't need the police or the fire. She said she didn't need either one because she's never had to call them. And that concerns me, leaving essential services up to people that are thinking they don't need any backup for, when it happens, they're going to need it. And they're very lucky and blessed to not have to need it right that moment. So I am in strong support of the
okay. And just
services.
to clarify, we are still currently just on the motion to
Oh.
amend the,
Yes, you
just
are.
the small language tweak.
Yeah, that's fine.
But yes, Councilor Caseman.
To Councilor Crocker's point, just to make sure that the way that I read to maintain essential police services, I don't think this is calling into question whether police services are essential, but specific services that the police do that are essential. There could be various things that the police do that aren't essential. Is that?
The bike rodeo for the kids would be
Right.
non-essential.
Depends on who
very
you ask.
nice thing, yeah.
So is that how you were reading it? That?
Yeah. Well, I was reading that it's an essential service, and I love the changes, so I'm sorry that I jumped ahead.
Yeah, she thought we were voting on the full.
Oh, I see. Okay, there we go.
Okay, so again, we're still on the motion to amend section 3.26.020. Is there any further discussion on that motion to amend? Seeing none, would all those in favor please raise your hand and keep them up for a second? Okay, that makes it easier. Then motion is approved unanimously to amend, and we're back to the ordinance as a whole. Any further discussion or motions on the ordinance as a whole? And wait, do we need to move it, or do we do a roll call vote at the end anyway, right?
Yeah, we need to read the.
Right, okay. So if you want to approve this, you don't need to make a motion. We have to vote on it at the end. But I guess, so any other discussion before we do that? So, Councilor Andrade?
Yeah, sorry about the last minute stuff. For whatever reason, it's really hard to get it to go through the packet until like now. Anyway, the timing of it. I wanted to ask about the other city fees and service or rates that we have. I guess it's mostly just fees. I didn't get a chance to look it up in the municipal code, but do we have the same language about turning off water as like a punitive measure, potential punitive measure if the fee does not get paid in full?
Well, we would have to look that up.
Okay, sorry. I wasn't sure if that was like standard language and I just completely didn't get around to
believe that
checking.
it is, but we would have to confirm.
Okay. I just I hadn't realized that, and I understand logically why that would make sense because it's part of the water bill. But I think to Mayor McMorrin's point about like in past meetings and stuff about like not being in favor of tagging fees onto utility bills that I don't like the idea of shutting off water if they can't pay some of these, if they can't pay their entire water bill. And I know that there's, low income rates and everything, but it just doesn't feel right when it doesn't have to do directly with the water payment. And so I understand that there's nothing to really be done about it now, especially if that is how it's billed out, in with the programs and just everything. But I do think it's something that we should consider again at a future time as a council. So thank you for that information.
Yeah, thank you, Counselor. Maybe clarifying question. Is the street fee actually called a road maintenance user fee in the code? Okay.
Yeah.
So I was like, we don't have a street fee in here. That's
Yes.
weird. Yeah.
And then the stormwater.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, but Counselor, it does look like under the road maintenance user fee, which is chapter 14.2, under 14.2.050 enforcement A, in addition to other lawful enforcement procedures, the city may enforce the collection of charges required by this chapter by withholding delivery of water to any premises where road maintenance fees are delinquent or unpaid. So we can talk about whether that's a good idea or not, but it look like that's the same already have for utility bills.
Yeah, I would assume that it's really difficult for with the finance program to be able to kind of parse that out currently. So I won't move to remove it now since, all of the others would also need to, anyway. But I would like to revisit that at a future date if we could get that in the notes somewhere to put on, I don't know, for you to consider, Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. Chelsea?
I just wanted to add that I am aware of, I've not heard of anyone having their water service shut off for a reason like this with the other fees. I think where it might be more likely to come into play is maybe an account that isn't currently using water. So, someone is away, doesn't, and is kind of accruing some of those base fees and not paying for some reason because they're not getting water. So shutting them off, I guess, would just be really more saying, you need to settle this up before we will turn your water back on. It's not so much turning it off, but I think it's worth a discussion, but just wanted to kind of reassure you that that's not something that I'm hearing of us doing. So kind of like you said, I think it would be way far down the list on the whole water bill as a whole.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. That's good to hear. Yeah, validation.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Any other discussion or questions? I'll just say before we move to a vote, I feel like I've been pretty consistent with my thoughts on this throughout the process. So I would just echo those and say I really appreciate the conversations we've had and the collaborative work we've done together. I think this is the not fun or easy part about being on city council. So I feel very fortunate to work with all of you and to tackle tough problems together, even when we may disagree. Before I even became mayor, I just have always felt like I wanted the utility bill to be for utilities and other revenue should come from other sources. So that has no reflection on my thoughts on the police department or the merits of their work or the merits of their pay. That will come later. I think they do a wonderful job. I'm appreciative to have such a excellent department for a town of our size. I think, as I said, I want to explore some of the things that were brought up in comments, but my thoughts on this are more of a philosophical belief in utility bills than it is in anything directly related to policing or to offering competitive compensation to our officers. Any final thoughts? Councilor Andrade?
Thank you. More or less what you said as well. Although I will say that like we've had the competitive versus fair pay discussion, and again, I echo my thoughts on, I don't think now is the time for competitive pay, especially with increasing utility rates and everything. But that decision has been made by the council previously. I'll also note that I really appreciate hearing everyone's comments and concerns from the community. And I want to give a shout out to the Philomath Citizens Academy. If people who are interested in learning more about how the city operates and how to get involved and stuff like that, if they happen to have the energy and the capacity to do so, highly recommend it. And then the other thing was, nope, sorry, it slipped away. But yeah, anyway, thank you. Oh, duh, cannabis. Once again, cannabis, alternative funding source.
We get through the whole meeting without it. I was shocked.
I know.
Okay. Thank you very much. Noted. Chris, can you make sure to have that in minutes? Thank you. Any final thoughts? Last call? Okay, then I will ask the city recorder to read the ordinance. And for the people in the audience, don't worry, we are not reading all like 20 pages. We're just reading the title.
Ordinance 895, an ordinance adopting Code Chapter 3.26 regarding a police services fee and establishing an effective date.
And then I'll ask for it to be read one more time.
Ordinance 895, an ordinance adopting Philomath Municipal Code Chapter 3.26 regarding a police services fee and establishing an effective date.
Thank you very much. And now I'll ask you to call the roll for a vote.
Andrade.
No.
Rucker.
Yes.
Irwin.
Yes.
Haseman.
Yes.
Warren.
No.
Nielsen.
Yes.
Salsa.
Yes.
Okay. Ordinance 895 is adopted with 5 yes votes and 2 no votes. That brings us to Resolution 26-23, setting the police services fee at $5. Thank you all for being here tonight. We appreciate it. We're still talking about police services fee for the record. And you're still here. Okay.
So,
Okay. Are we okay? Okay. I'm
Staying awake.
I got my Nordic blood. Yeah. Whatever.
In summer, yeah.
Okay. Now we are on Resolution 26-23, a resolution setting the police services fee amount. And as a reminder, as was mentioned, as with our other bills or other fees on the utility bill, the actual dollar amount is not in the city code. That is passed through a resolution, since that can fluctuate. So this resolution is setting it at $5. And that is basically a permanent $5 rate unless the council is to change it. So that does not have an expiration or anything. That will be the direction from the council unless a future council changes that. Any discussion or motions on this?
Yes,
Oh, thank you. Councilor Salsa?
yes, thank you. First, before we get too far into this, I do want us to take one half step backwards because I want to make sure that the folks that are there attending this understand that this was the funding mechanism, not the mechanism to set what the funding is. So that had to happen regardless of whatever dollar amount happens to be set. That had to happen first. So I just wanted to make sure that that was very clear. There's two separate issues here. One is just to establish a mechanism to collect the fee, and then there's the entirety about what that fee actually is. And I just wanted to make sure that that got really clear. And thank you for that.
Thank you. And just so the people online know, all but one of our audience members did just leave.
Okay, well,
yeah.
okay, bummer. Okay, because
We appreciate you. Stick around. Yeah.
Sorry, and the reason sorry, I'm going to kind of continue here, Mr. Mayor, since I actually have the floor, and because I wanted to respond inside this conversation, particularly for those folks that were here and made the time and effort to come to speak before the council and to actually acknowledge what it takes, because that's how responsible government works. That's why we have open meetings. That's why we have the opportunity for people to actually voice their concerns. And as also an opportunity to also reiterate about other things that we had said earlier. For example, that there's been many hours of discussion of this. This is not something that just sort of landed in front of us. And at the same time, there are issues being raised that I want to address only one. I mean, there's several, but I want to address one, and that happens to do with this whole world of taking speeding tickets to offset revenue shortage. And I will tell, and I'm doing this as an experience from the fire department. When the fire department makes up its budget, we have something called a conflagration fee. In other words, if we send a crew out to fight a conflagration in the state as basically declared by the governor, then the fire department gets compensated not only for the wages and salaries of the people responding, but also the equipment that is being used. And that's actually revenue to the fire department. However, that is not a guaranteed revenue stream, because now this year, unfortunately, it's probably going to be very high. But in other years, in other words, we can't say, oh, we're going to take in $100,000 of conflagration fees. You can't say that. That's completely irresponsible from a budgeting standpoint, because we cannot guarantee that that's actual income. The same could be said of citations given in like speeding tickets or things like that. I won't kind of get into the minutia of the revenue of speeding tickets probably isn't going to amount to the kind of shortfall that was there. But I want to point out to the folks that this is something that was considered inside of this from a budgetary standpoint, that there's a shortfall, and the whole idea behind this resolution is to meet the shortfall. We know that there's a shortfall. We know that it's there, and there's a mechanism that we need to put into place. And there were several discussions about how best to do this. And yes, we started at $14, but that's because we were trying to do all sorts of things versus actually being fiscally responsible and only looking at the things that we absolutely needed to take care of, which in this particular case was the police service. And the last thing I'm going to say is that whatever the fee is that we set tonight, whatever that is voted on, that would have to be voted on again. So I want to make sure it's really crystal clear that if we say that it's $5 tonight, we would have to come back to say it's $10 the next time. That would have to go through the whole thing again. Do you know what I mean? So this is not a willy-nilly thing that we could just arbitrarily just start raising these fees here. The public won't let us do that. I mean, honestly, I as a myself as a citizen and as a member of the city council, this is the part where I have taken on, and I've heard the people talk. This is what we basically come down to as a compromise. We would rather not have it done. Honestly, sorry, I can't say for everybody on this council. Myself, I would rather not have to do it. On the other hand, I think from a fiscal responsibility and a budget shortfall, temporary, fix, that this is a compromised way of basically making sure that we can manage that and to keep the level of service the way it is. And sorry, one last thing. We'd also talked about this whole thing about competitive wages. Actually, we're not trying to be competitive with Corvallis and Benton County. Not directly, we can't. They get paid more. We cannot meet those salary levels. We can't. We know that we can't. The fire department, again, speaking from experience, having been in the union and also in management, we do the best we can with what we can to at least make sure that we retain the kind of trained officers that we get. And when you pay your people well, we're not going to pay them wages at the level of Corvallis. We're not the city that size. We're not the city or the county size of the sheriff's department. But what we can do is at least in a kind of an apples to apples kind of sort of thing, pay basically what we consider a decent wage to retain the amazing people that we have. And it's going to take something because they still are going to go, well, I could still make more money over there. But we're kind of shrinking that gap at least a little bit. And again, this is just a reminder for all of us, all the discussions we have. And thank you for letting me take the time to say all of that. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Dalton. I appreciate it too. I guess I'll just say really quick that because I realize this might seem somewhat conflicting, since I voted no on establishing a fee, I would echo maybe what Councilor Salsa said of I would rather not have the fee. I'd rather it be a levy or another source of revenue. That being said, given that the council did just vote to establish the fee, I am in support of the $5 amount, and I appreciate the work that we all did to get to that $5 amount instead of a $14 amount. So I'm planning to support this resolution because I would rather it be $5 than anything more than that. But I just wanted to explain that from my perspective that I would rather use a different vehicle, but since this is the vehicle we've decided, I'm in support of this amount in that vehicle. Any other discussion, Councilor Andrade?
Yeah, no, I appreciate all of this. I would say that to clarify a couple of things, whenever I've talked about competitive, I just wanted to clarify. I think that is the language that we used in our strategic plan. And so with the intent to retain. So I wanted to second that, like not directly competing to be able to get to that same level. I would argue, however, that it is not apples to apples. It might be different variety of apples to different variety of apples. I don't know. But anyway, point being, like as we've seen in the agenda item summary for the collective bargaining agreement, lines 28 and 29 of, the city reviewed comparable jurisdictions, meaning within the population, and found that police officer statutory comps are generally aligned with comparator cities. And that the competitive organizations is the part that we're trying to get closer to for the retainment aspect of it. So that was just one thing. And then the other was that while in principle, I would vote no on this because of, like, I really think that it should go to the voters. I really do think that, similar to what you just said, Mayor, about like, because this is the vehicle and also because like practically speaking, like I don't want to talk about this another meeting because I'm not going to convince anyone else. And I also don't know what the alternative would be. Because compromise. Unfortunately, sometimes we have to do things, and I'm very thankful to the mayor for all of the cuts that he prepared for the budget committee to discuss. And having been on the council since 2021, if I remember correctly, I don't think we've ever cut that much from the budget before, from the staff prepared budget. And I think that's a really big accomplishment of being able to, you know, when we have a big need somewhere, that we're able to tighten the belt somewhere, multiple somewheres. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other discussion on resolution 2623 or a motion? Because this one does need a motion since it's not an ordinance. Councilor Caseman?
I will move to approve resolution 26-23 as presented.
Is there a second? Okay, it's been moved by Councilor Caseman, seconded by Councilor Crocker to approve resolution 26-23, a resolution setting the police services fee amount as presented. Is there any further discussion on this motion? Seeing none, would all those in favor please raise your hand and say aye? Aye. Okay, the resolution 26-23 is approved unanimously. Thank you very much. That brings us to resolution 2624, a resolution ratifying a collective bargaining agreement between the City of Philomath and the Philomath Police Personnel Association. I'll turn it over to Chelsea to give us an overview of where we landed with this.
Yes, so I have included the draft version with changes, just so that everyone hopefully has seen those underlined and bolded and strike through. I just want to say it was a difficult process because of some of the reasons that we've already extensively talked about in some of those dozen or dozens of hours. But that being said, I really want to express appreciation to the Police Personnel Association's members who came to the table, did this hard work with myself and our labor attorney. I really do appreciate, and I think I said this also with the AFSCME contract, that we are very lucky here to have just so many employees that are very, very dedicated to the community, the city, and just work very hard to get through these processes and, you know, keep our relationships. So I just want to say I appreciate that. I talked to other people who are in my position, and I've heard all kinds of stories of, you know, ranging from great to really difficult and just hard to maintain relationships. So I do appreciate that. It speaks to the nature of Philomath, I think, and just the spirit of connection here in the community. I did do a highlight summary of changes similar to what I did for AFSCME. Some of these are similar to the changes for AFSCME, so just cleaning up items, clarifications, including some memorandums of understanding that happened through the contract, mostly related to lateral hires and pay equity laws. So those are some of the things that we've added. The cost increases were increased per council guidance, and then set cost of living for the following 2 years to try to maintain that, you know, little bit of increase that we had. Hopefully, Benton County, who we as you said, are not in direct competition with, are bargaining right now. We don't know what their contract will say, and right now we're doing the best that we can do for our police officers here, and that's what we can do and what we can hope for. We also did set rates for APSME for the next 2 years. Let's see what else I can say here. There are a few little adjustments to be more aligned with our comparators. So one was, I think I'd put just a slight adjustment to vacation accrual and then some little incentive pay adjustments, but nothing really significant. We just made some good language changes on how we handle mediation, things like that, which the attorneys always love to see if we can get more clear on that. So yeah, if anyone has specific questions or comments, I would love to try to answer those.
Thank you very much, Shelby. Thank you for all the work that went into this. I know it's been a journey.
It's been a journey.
Councilor Andrade?
Two quick questions. The first being, I think I misremembered. Resolutions don't need 2 readings. It's ordinances that need 2 readings. So I didn't have to vote yes last time. Okay.
I mean,
cool.
You're still welcome to, but yes.
Yeah, no, I get it. I for whatever reason brained. Anyway, so question for this, I talked a bit with Chelsea a little bit earlier today online about bi-monthly. I thought with the AFSCME agreement that we had said bi-monthly was essentially semi-monthly. Did I misremember that completely?
No, that's correct. So
the bi-monthly here is semi-month, or we didn't mean semi-monthly. Sorry, I meant every other month.
No, but bi-monthly.
It was semi-monthly.
Is the same as semi-monthly. So our current pay practice, if you'll remember from AFSCME, is that we do currently accrue half of our monthly accrual at each pay period. So we just wanted to reflect what we actually are doing. It's just clearer to the employees.
So they are more familiar with the term bi-monthly than semi-monthly. Is that correct?
Again, I think that in the bargaining world, it's a very common term.
Different.
So either AFSCME or the representation at Wilmette Police Personnel Association made any kind of a comment or ask about it, they were fine with the language.
Okay, just wanted to triple check on that because I definitely remembered that incorrectly from last time. And then yeah, just knowing from the way that like unemployment and the paid leave organ and stuff, when they ask specifically for those kinds of things. And I just wanted to make sure that those definitions are clear for any employees who might be confused. But if they're good, then they're good. So yay.
So just for any members of the Philomath Police Personnel Association watching this meeting, to be clear, we are not going to give you just 4 hours of vacation every 2 months.
Yes.
That would be tough.
That would be tough.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Crocker.
On page 28, I apologize. My fault. I should have emailed this several days ago when I saw it, but I didn't. Compensatory time under 14.5, about the 5th line down, it says bank twice, once annually. What does that mean? I'm assuming that's a mistake.
That may be, I don't think that you need to request a change here, but what I will do is send a clarifying email to the 2 attorneys, see if they would like us to adjust that, if the council if I have a consensus to do that. I think it's just an error that currently our practice is that you can, as it says on the next line, you can request that up twice annually by either pay period. I'm guessing that there was just a strike through that didn't make it there.
Do we need to indicate which one we would prefer?
Yeah, I think it's actually once annually that you can request 80 hours once annually, but you can do it at either of those two time periods. It gives them two options to request that maximum amount. If I have an issue with it, we may have to bring it back and have a conversation about it, but I believe that the language that's in the contract. Let's get rid of this in this.
Well, I would think that the council is good with whichever one both attorneys agreed on, right?
And I don't think we changed it, so I believe that we did not make a change to that language, so it is just whatever is in the current contract, which I believe is once.
I'll just say, I would prefer it to be once.
I believe that it is
Okay.
once. I'm not sure how the twice made it in there. And it may have been in there in the last contract, but our practice and our forms that we have are once annually.
Thank you very much. Any other?
Thank you for noticing that.
Yeah, great catch. Thank you. Any other discussion or questions from the council? Councilor Andrade?
So looking at the following sentences, it makes me wonder if it's once, but there's two opportunities to do it because of the either May 23rd or May 31st or November 30th paycheck.
Yes, our current practice is that it's once, and you can request it at either of those two times.
Did you say that already? And I was just totally
Yeah, that's okay though.
I was processing, sorry. I was still processing. Okay, anyway.
You're correct. You're correct.
Thanks.
I was just wondering if you could holiday pay, it looks like we're bumping that up.
For you.
Page 18.
Yes, so that is a reflection of our officers working in this general area. It's unusual. We don't pay that out very often. It's pretty minimal that there's a situation where you would be like the non-scheduled workday. It's not too often that that's happening. But it is a common practice in contracts in our area. The reason that's important is that I've been called in on my non-scheduled workday, it's Christmas. The other officers that I'm out with on a call, Benton County, Corvallis has come over, that's how they're being compensated. And I'm not being compensated that way, so it is more of a general area compensation. But like I said, the chief has let me know that happens very minimally. It's fairly rare.
And then we're also boosting the scheduled workday from 1.5 to 2 times?
Yes.
Okay.
My experience is that's pretty standard.
It is becoming much more standard, yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Councilor Andrade?
Clarification on 14.17 on page 31. The BA, BS degree premium, getting a 1% of their base hourly rate for all hours worked in the pay period. So that's just, is it any degree? Or is it something specific to policing and sociology or something like that?
It's any degree. It's very common in the comps. That's one of the places that we're lagging in our comps. Most of them offer some kind of pay there. Most of them offer more than that. But we did want to recognize that. We also have a tuition reimbursement, like a 50% tuition reimbursement. So if someone did want to try for this, they hopefully could use that resource. I think the thought behind it is that going through any of those programs is going to give you some more maybe like writing skills and critical skills for report writing, things that police officers actually do spend a lot of time doing besides being out doing all the things that we see them out doing. So I think that's the thought behind it, why it's become so popular.
More well-rounded officer.
Right, right.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Councilor Salsa?
Yeah, so just to put a cherry on top of that one, it's actually a very standard practice now. It used to be that contracts of this type went for specific degrees inside the realm of where you're working, but that's actually fallen away over the years because of the fact that people that go through either a bachelor or a master's degree have the discipline and have the well-roundedness that basically says, hey, this is a person we want to work for us. And as it turns out, it's almost no pun intended, self-policing because yeah, you need to laugh better on that one. Because they tend to gravitate to people doing that. So if someone gets a degree basically as a master's in public administration, for example, well, yes, it's not specifically quote unquote police oriented, but it certainly would benefit the organization. So that's why it's opened it up to basically kind of have a well-educated police force or any sort of union type thing like that. So the fire department has done the same thing.
Thank you so much, Councilor Salsa. Any other discussion, questions, or a motion?
All good. I got my in on time. We don't have a recommended.
Yeah.
So we
Back there.
It's pretty straightforward.
I move to approve resolution 26-24, ratifying a collective bargaining agreement between the city of Philomath and Philomath Police Personnel Association.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilor Irwin, seconded by Councilor Salsa to approve resolution 26-24, ratifying a collective bargaining agreement between the city of Philomath and Philomath Police Personnel Association. Any discussion or questions on that motion? I'll say I really, again, appreciate the work that staff put into negotiating this. I think we've all talked about our concerns and frustrations with the timing of this coinciding with the budget season, and I think staff has heard our concerns on that. I don't know what there is to do about that moving forward, but 3 years from now, we'll see if we can avoid some of those sort of conflicts, because I think that made all of this a lot more complicated than it needed to be. I'll also say on my personal account, I really want to support this to support our police officers. I think they do a great job. I really appreciate how community oriented our police forces. I want to make sure we're retaining excellent officers. And as Councilor Crocker said, I think, I understand the concerns about traffic enforcement, but I think on the whole, we have a very low crime rate and a very safe community, and that's not something that happens by accident. So I'm very supportive of that. I do just want to say, for the record, I am a little concerned about the impacts this will have on our budget moving forward. So I just hope we kind of keep that in mind. It's not just this one-time bump, but then 2 additional bumps after that. I know those bumps are smaller, but they're also larger than we're giving to our other union and to our unclassified staff. I think it's deserved. That is something we'll need to really keep a strict eye on when we're budgeting moving forward. And I hope we don't set a precedent with this of saying every time we renegotiate this contract that it's going to have a 7.8% increase, because I don't think that is something we can afford. But I'll support it for this contract because of all the things we've been discussing for the last several months. Yes.
I just did want to note that the council did approve for non-represented positions just this year's cost of living.
Yeah.
So the
Which was 2.8%.
2.8, but that'll be considered in the future, so those were not decided on yet.
Thank you.
Jessica had her hand.
Yeah, Councilor Andrade?
Mostly what you said as well. Like I really appreciated the time and effort staff has put into this. I appreciate the police department, and I've had good interactions with them every time. And I've heard nothing but like praise from everyone about them, minus debate over, pulling people over who are speeding. But I have a hard time agreeing to this, regardless of the fact that like we have the council has made decisions to put this on the table as being something to pass. Like I really don't like the not being able to do as much for our other employees. And I also like if we're going to do this much for the police, like I don't like not being able to do it for those other employees. But the other thing was but the fact that we just don't even have the budget for it in the first place. I can't vote to approve this for those reasons. And because we don't need a second reading.
True. Thank you. Any other discussion on this motion? Okay. Then would all those in favor please raise your hand and say aye? Aye. Those opposed, nay. Okay, I think that's everyone. So resolution 26-24 is approved 5-1 because Councilor Nielsen dropped off at some point. So it's approved 5-1 with, we'll say, one abstention. Absent. Thank you very much. I was going to say something to wrap us up on that. Like the thought is eluding me, but yeah. Again, thanks to staff for this, and thanks to our police officers and sergeants and chief for the work that they do. I hope you feel supported and know that we are grateful for the work that you do. That brings us to reports of boards, commissions, committees, council liaisons, and staff. Again, as a recap, normally we do this at our first meeting of the month, but since our first meeting was running a little late and we were going to be here at this meeting, we decided to bump this to today. The first thing before we get into that though, Chelsea just wanted to check. She had sent an email out about who may be interested in attending the LOC conference in Salem in the fall.
I think it was Chris. If you've responded,
Chris, sorry,
that's fine.
She just wanted to double check since that is now happening. As a reminder, we did cut all of the conference and travel budgets by 50%. So there's money in there, just not as much as it used to be. So I'm planning to go, but I will just be commuting back and forth rather than getting any sort of travel arrangements. I'm also presenting on a panel, so I need to be there. But I don't know. I think Councilor Andrade, did you say you were planning to join? Okay.
Yes, but I would like to stay because I just health and ability wise and safety, I do not feel comfortable commuting every day like that with all of the presentations and caucus responsibilities and such. On that note, I can share. I don't know. We can talk about this later, but if I need approval for that, I don't know.
Okay, we'll look at the budget. I guess the question is just, is there anyone else who is interested that we need to be?
I would like to save the money, so I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
I would say that I might be interested, but I would just ride with you or whatever. I don't know.
Okay.
That nature. I don't think just in Salem, I don't think I would need much.
Yeah.
I think lodging is the most difficult thing to get ahead of time. So if you could just respond back to Crystal,
Yeah,
when
yeah.
you know for sure, Crystal can help get you signed up.
Wonderful. So I'm hearing Jessica, excuse me, Counselor Andrade, Counselor Irwin and I are the only ones who are probably interested. Okay, perfect. Then that brings us to our reports. Since we didn't get to do this last month, did we have something that Counselor Andrade wanted to share? It's great.
Page 41.
I will draw your attention to, I didn't flip far that. To page 41, for an update from Counselor Andrade.
Real quick before that specific update, I'll just say with the Benton County Historical Society, that we had the party, the 50th anniversary party in May. And it was great. I don't remember if I actually said that last time, but anyway, it was great. We had a meeting recently and we had apparently some staff members, there was some shuffling around and so they just revamped their like rental agreement, like rental programs and such, and they have new people working on kind of outreach about events and stuff. So that is going to be cool to be able to kind of hear more about some of the things that's going on there. And I intend to get more information about a potential tour of the museum for council. I need to speak with Jessica about it to see if what we can do about potentially working on that to learn more about like what the proposed refurbishments, remodeling of of the museum in our community. Now the report that's in the packet is a staff report that I received from the Hope Advisory Board from the CROW, the Coordinated Homeless Response Office. They're the ones who do the work of reaching out to houseless individuals and coordinating between all the different agencies who provide services to those individuals and helping in whatever capacity they can to get funding and such. And so most of it is all of the text really actually is from their report. I added some glossary terms at the top because I still have trouble remembering them and figured it would be helpful to note. And then I also copied some slide screenshots into the report from that weren't there originally that we had during our last Hope meeting. And basically the takeaway is that things aren't looking good for our houseless members of our community. And that said, I know that we don't have a good handle on what houselessness looks like in Philomath. This report is about the county as a whole, with most of the focus on Corvallis. And the biggest thing is that the shelters in Corvallis only have funds to operate through March or so of next year. There's a table in here that shows dates, projected dates for each of the different shelters. So if we don't get more funding for those shelters, there's going to be no shelters by summer. So they have asked for support to by Hope members, but also to be able to, I'll be coming to you with asks at some point to support letters and to be speaking potentially, like if we do the, Capitol, Day, LOC Capitol Day, City Day at the Capitol, whatever it's called, those kinds of things of like, any sort of opportunity for networking and, really advocating in those spaces of like, hey, this is really an issue, even though it's not necessarily Philomath specific that we are aware of, there are cascading effects because of all of those other services that feed into this network for the county. The other thing was, no, I feel like there might have been one other thing I was going to say. Can't remember it at the moment, but it probably just has to do with I intend to reach out to some of the that was what it was. I had a meeting with them to ask more about how I could help as like a counselor, and like be able to get a better idea of what houselessness looks like here. And at some point, I think just putting it kind of in our brains to think about at some point, whether it's for strategic planning or if we happen to have like decide we want to have a work session to kind of talk about houselessness. They want to know what we want to know. So basically I was like, yeah, so like what can we do to help? Like, do you need certain information? I know Corvallis, like whenever they encounter houseless people, like their staff, their public works, their police officers, like they have not track, but like, they have an idea of where they can send people to reach out for services and stuff like that. And, is that something that we could do? I don't know. Like, do we even get those kinds of interactions? What kinds of data would we like to look at? Does it look like violations of, code, building codes of like, this is a dilapidated house, but people are living there because there isn't anywhere else to go, like squatting kind of in a way, or like, the other examples they said, living out of your car. It's not always apparent whether someone's living out of their car. So anyway, long story short, think about it. I'd love to have a conversation with council at some point about ideas, and, just to be able to get a baseline of, what things look like in our community and how I can help facilitate with the Crow, to get ideas about like what we can do or, look for information for data. I hope that made sense.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
I'll talk with staff about work session planning and see what might work. Yes, Chelsea.
And not super urgent or anything. It was just wanted to put that out there. Yeah, and if you remember anything from our last meeting.
Well, I just wanted to say that I attended the meeting on July 8th in the city manager's absence, and just wanted to commend Councilor Andrade for taking over as chair for the Hope Advisory Board and running a meeting online, virtual, with a lot of people in attendance, quite frankly. And just want to say that Councilor Andrade did a really great job, and I think that the staff and the group as a whole really appreciates you taking over. So just wanted to note that.
Thank you. That's kind of
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Any other updates, group, Councilor Crocker?
Yes. I've got quite a few little places, but PCS, Philomath Community Services, South 9th Street. They came and talked about that today a little bit. I am concerned they're feeling left out of the decision-making, and not that they get any decision-making, but they don't even understand necessarily the boundaries of where things are going. And so any communication we could do, I would encourage that we try to do that. Mike Goodrich is a good person to talk to about that. They also brought up a concern about a fire lane, that probably the way that things are cut off right now, that there is no fire lane to Philomath Community Services. Rich, you would know more about the dimension of the lane, but my guess is it's non-existent right now. And if it's going to be lasting for several months, that's a real concern.
I can tell you that I've been in conversations with Chief Ferguson, because he called pretty much after, I think, one of the last meetings that they had there. And the access to the property is actually adequate right now because of the permission that they've got going under the old Hughes property. So that basically provides access to the building, because once you're at the corner, you can reach around with the hose links that they have on our fire engines. It's not ideal, but I think one of the caveats to that is to make sure that everybody understands that when this is all done and that access goes away, that the easement that's in place right now is 25 feet, and every inch of that has got to be basically for access coming off of 9th Street. So that's what's going to be left after the building has been done on the water treatment plant. They're a flag lot, meaning that they've got an access of 25 feet to the back end where their property is. And I think at the time that I was still with the fire department, so 2+ years ago now, we talked about enhancing that turnaround spot that goes basically towards the river and then turns back around up to 9th Street again, that gets improved. So you have basically a circular drive there. And I think that at the end of the day, that's going to have to be still put into place. But again, Chief Ferguson is on top of this. They're doing a great job of basically keeping an eye to make sure everything's safe that way. And Councilor Crocker, just so that you know, I'm actually now on the board of directors for Philomath Community Services.
I knew that.
I didn't know that.
Okay.
That's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great.
We almost got a quorum. Oh, not anymore. Oh, wow. Okay.
He's,
Sorry.
yeah. What else was I? So other than that, they have a big fundraiser, and this is the fundraiser to help support our food bank, our June's Kids Closet, the Holiday Cheer. If you have any questions about any of those programs, please ask. I know quite a bit about those. I used to work. Anyway, I would encourage, if you are able, they are selling tickets right now to the fundraiser. It is August 6th at 5:30 at Cardwell Hills. I have made some baskets for it because that was something that I was trained to do by a good person that trained me. And there's like 40 things for a silent auction, and there's some really great things. So it's an opportunity to buy some things that you might want to gift to somebody and support our food bank, because as you can imagine, as you probably know, the federal funding has been dropped a great deal. So there's that. And then I am part of the inclusivity committee, and I just read your email. They canceled the meeting tomorrow, and I'm concerned because I thought we were supposed to do the night out on August 4th. And we were supposed to have a table, and we're going to talk about it at this meeting, and we don't have a meeting to talk about. The other thing I wanted to bring to the City Council is on September 22nd. It's a Tuesday night at 5:30 right here. We are having training from the Corvallis for Refugees. And we would like to invite the City Council to come to that training. It is free. It will take no more than 90 minutes. And it's an important part of understanding our community. They started after Salem had started one, and I went to the training a month or two ago, and it was fascinating. I learned a great deal. And so I would encourage, if you are at all able to come to that. It's a free training. It is put on by the Corvallis for Refugee organization. And she does this training all around the area.
Say the date, time, one more time.
Tuesday, September 22nd at 5:30. That's the regular inclusivity meeting.
Oh, great.
So that it's just a little bit extended part of that. The exclusivity committee, and we would like to invite the community too, but that's coming up also. And so that's why I'm a little rattled that the meeting was canceled when I felt like we had some things to deal with. But I don't know anything about it, and other than what I know. So, yeah.
Thank you very much. Councilor Andrade?
I can talk to that. We had some issues with, staff and like, I guess people being out, and it made sense to just kind of postpone talking about most of the stuff until next meeting. But I am under the impression that there was less than a quorum of people who were interested in participating in the booth. And so I think I will double check with Amanda, but I think she will be reaching out to those people to put them in touch, so that if you want to continue with that, you can go ahead and have a presence at the National Night Out. And I don't think that'll be a violation of anything, of any public meetings laws, because it was something that everyone was like, sure, if there's going to be people who want to do this, and we more or less, like we have flyers. There was some awesome, engagement at Philomath Pride with getting input about how to make the community more inclusive and a bunch of other really cool ideas. I was so impressed with everything that the community members, that our committee members came up with and collected. So I think that it could be fairly similar to that, but like I said, let me chat with Amanda, and if Chelsea and or the mayor or Crystal can verify that that wouldn't be a violation of public meetings laws, because we already were like, sure, for whoever is able to go ahead and do the thing.
Party planning, essentially.
My memory
Okay,
of
cool.
the discussion,
Thanks.
I had offered to make the balloon paddle thing, and I've worked on those. They're done, but it's okay. I can use them
I
somewhere
forgot
else.
that. Sorry.
But I was pretty sure that we were going forward as a committee, so that's why I had no idea it was canceled.
Yeah,
believe
no,
it's so-
I
was just going to say that I think the communication with staff was that there would be email communication just about to finalize those logistics for the booth. That's what we
asked
heard
last week and have gotten nothing. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Just
Yeah.
saying.
Okay.
I think it was a couple of days ago, but I haven't been able to talk with Amanda since then, but I will be.
Okay, it's fine. I'm not gonna push it. I can use my stuff somewhere else, but it's just, that was how it was left. And then the whole, Corvallis for Refugees, if we're going to put out a public invitation, I won't be here in August, so I won't be able to participate.
Is that something we could put on the city?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Social.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
And
somebody
we
should
were aware of you looking for that date and stuff like that. So I think we're fine with staff with taking the lead on that, or not the lead, but sending out the information.
Getting the word out.
Yeah,
Just say
thank
that.
you. words.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Councilor Crocker. Any other reports?
I'm not council, but.
Last call? Okay.
I just did want to note that Chris has had email communication with Sharon Thornberry at PCS, inviting Sharon to come talk to him, meet with him, and did kind of do a handoff before he went on this vacation that he's currently on. So I have not heard anything. So I just did want to let you know that I was kind of ready and expecting that I would get a communication. It sounds like you were reached out to, Mayor. So I just wanted to note that staff has tried to have some interactions and communications and that we just haven't heard back yet.
That was left up to them to contact you to come.
I think it was just, when is a good time for you? When can we meet? And
There was a big thread a week ago or
Right.
something of Sharon reaching out, and then I responded, Mike responded, and then Chris responded with a ton of information and updated documents and everything. And both of us offered an invitation of like, if you would like to discuss more, we're happy to anytime. But then their board wasn't available and I was up in Portland.
Chris was leaving.
Chris was leaving, but we still had sort of the open of like, if I can't be there, Chelsea can do it,
I was
someone
at the
can-
board meeting and it a big concern.
I just wanted the council to know that because I do
Good,
think that
thank you.
there's some things being a little bit lost.
Thursday?
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Because we also offered we can join for a board meeting if they'd like us to.
Right.
That was happening.
Yeah. So I think that's maybe the current concern is I'm not sure that the information is being shared with everyone who is concerned about it and talking about it. But it sounds like the mayor is going to go to tomorrow.
And if anyone wants to join.
I want to join.
Okay, I'm assuming Sharon.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I'm
Okay.
able to join.
Because I want to be very clear. I want us to make sure we are addressing the concerns and being good neighbors. I just also haven't gotten a super clear picture of like what specifically needs to be addressed apart from the fact that construction is impacting their operations, which construction will impact their operations. So I want to make sure I'm understanding like, can we put up
Looking at the
different
signage
signs?
is
Can we
great.
go, so I think that, just to say, it's not that we don't care. It's just that I haven't actually gotten to the actual actionable things.
For example, notice when the big bulldozers and trucks were coming through and blocked off their parking lot. Just even they'd asked for some notice if something like that was happening and they didn't get anything. They didn't go to hey, and they have talked to some of the workers and some of them talk back.
Yeah, and so we've made clear that from last week on, all communication should go directly between PCS and Chris or Chelsea rather than directly to the contractor.
Right, because there are contractual obligations, potential financial implications. We,
And things get
obviously-
lost in translation. If
Yes.
you talk to a random construction site and then you come talk to the mayor and the city manager and we have no idea what you're talking
Right,
about because
right.
that doesn't, so.
Well, again, I would, Mike Goodrich is a great board
100%,
member.
yes,
He's
yeah.
built things for his
Yes.
career and
Yes.
he understands this whole thing. So I think he would be the ideal contact, perhaps.
And thank you for sharing that,
Yeah,
Councilor Crocker.
like I said, we want to make sure we are being good neighbors. It also just is a difficult situation. But,
Yes.
I won't give a council government update because we got that at our last meeting, so that was nice. I also don't really have a school district update. It's summer break. Woohoo! And then I guess Philomath 2050, they've wrapped up a lot of the sort of big outreach phase. So now they're kind of digesting a lot of what they've heard. Not that there won't be additional outreach and meetings and everything, but the survey's closed. They did outreach at the farmer's market and the frolic and, other kind of going around the community. So now the consultants are kind of putting that all together and kind of creating a synthesis of what they heard, and that will inform some of those next steps. So that's exciting to see that moving along. I'm trying, what else? Am I liaison to other things? Probably, but.
The art
that's
looks
all.
great.
Oh, thanks. Yes, the art committee, the new public art is up. And as a reminder, the current situation is that's just sort of basically borrowed from the artists for a period of 2 years as kind of a pilot program. And then after 2 years, we'll figure out, well, before those 2 years,
Hopefully
are out,
before
we'll
the 2
figure
years
out
are up.
what's happening after that. But yeah, okay, on that note, I guess I also will say, so as Councilor Irwin and I, well, let me, I guess, rewind. This weekend was a big weekend for public engagement. I had a town hall with Commissioner Shepherd at the museum on Saturday, and I think we had 26 people there, which was not bad. Then I found out he had 16 people in Summit, which made me feel like we could have done better. But and really, really good questions and discussion. I was impressed with how informed people were, and that was wonderful to see. Questions about land use and water use and law enforcement and Mill Pond Crossing and traffic and, you know, all the things. And I actually felt like it was a really good discussion, and I appreciated everyone that came out. And then Councilor Irwin and I were at the farmers market yesterday. And that's what brings me to some of the public art. It has been fascinating that we've heard from a lot of people on the new sculptures, and there's a very even spread of, like, each sculpture is someone's favorite and someone's least favorite. There's not like one that everyone loves or one that everyone hates. We didn't, so people would come up to us and we would have no idea. They were like, you know which one I really hate? Genuinely, I don't. You know, it's the person standing right next to them. So I guess I would compliment the Public Art Committee for their selection, because apparently they got a good variety. But yeah, I guess anything you want to add on that?
The market was colorful and pleasant. We met quite a few characters there that had different inputs about different things.
And I guess I'll just say on that too, on a concerning note, I know Philomath is beautiful and perfect in every way. But we did also have gentlemen from Sisters who've been evacuated due to the wildfires, who was staying here until he could go home. And we had a wildland firefighter who just got back from LeGrand. So I know the rest of the state is not beautiful and perfect right now. And I wish them all the best, and I'm glad we can support. But yeah. And I guess there's a few other little things from the public market that I'll send to you.
And then, but also kudos to Public Works. One of the people that came to talk to us talked about having a kind of a series of interactions about the work that's being done.
Yeah.
And he had great specifics, because it sounds like his profession, and so like
we were just kind of like, all right.
Yeah, that seems like it makes sense. I mean,
yeah.
But he consistently communicated that he was listened to, and that it sounded like what he felt like appropriate changes were also made in order to make sure. So I thought that was, I felt proud about that.
Gary Black specifically was mentioned multiple times.
Yeah, Gary's.
Gary is. I'll be sad when Gary decides he wants to do other things with his life. It's great.
Okay, any final thoughts or updates? I just had one question on the budget update. I was curious why.
I probably can't answer.
I know.
But I did note it.
And I also realized this is from Rich.
Yes,
I'm hoping, can we get like a?
He will.
Okay,
He did not have it closed out. Yeah, this is what he had.
I'm just curious, our miscellaneous revenue, 152% of what was expected, which I'm not complaining about, for the record. I'm just curious
what that is.
Where we're getting all this extra.
And that was in the March?
Yeah, March 31st.
Okay. I will ask Mike.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Seeing nothing else, our next meeting will be on August 10. And as of right now, we don't have anything scheduled for the second meeting in August. I don't think, as of right now, we barely even have anything scheduled for the first meeting in August. So I think we can probably tentatively say we won't have a second meeting in August. I know we've been meeting a lot the last few months. So we will look forward to seeing you all on August 10th. And if there's no final thoughts, I'll adjourn this meeting at 9:03 p.m.
Wait,
Thank you all very-
Rich,
Hola,
or Council
hola.
Salsa, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, just one thing for the good of the
Back to order.
and just as, yes, as just as a reminder, that I will be on a walk from August, basically I leave August the 20th for Bozeman, Montana, and will be on the walk from the 24th of August through the 24th of September. So, and I will not be attending remotely because I will be literally very remote. Anyway,
Wonderful.
so
I
I
can't
just
wait.
wanted to remind you folks that you won't see me there. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah, I can't wait to hear about it. I'll still say we
Yeah.
adjourned at 9:03 because this is just scheduling.
Rich, is there any way to get updates on how it's going? Or you gonna live stream or vlog or?
Sorry, yes, there is a Facebook page, the Walk USA for Health Equity, Walk USA for Health Equity. .org. But if you Google Walk USA for Health Equity, you'll get to the website. And that basically has what's happening and blah, 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 blah. As we're out on the road, things will be posted to that website. And there's also a Facebook group that will be posting when we're out on the actual walk as well.
Awesome.
Great.
How many people are walking?
Dr. Godby and myself are the principal walkers for the 760 miles, and then we'll have, various naturopathic doctors joining us at different cities, Bozeman, Missoula, Helena. We'll be meeting with the mayors at most of those cities, Coeur d'Alene, Spokane. But the big rally will be at the end. We're hoping for a couple hundred people walking from Jimi Hendrix Park in Seattle, the last 3 miles to Pier 62, which will be the finale. We'll be walking all through that downtown portion of Seattle, through the waterfront and Pike Place, and anyway, it's gonna be epic. So, and we are looking for. This is going to be pretty extreme in terms of temperature. We'll be at the high desert. We're going to be at altitude. But actually, the most concerning thing is the wildfire smoke. So we may have to call audibles and basically transporting ourselves to another area that's smoke-free, walk the equivalent distance